afternoon, everybody. Keith Angle for TGI Sports Talk's Major League Baseball update. Sorry for the abrupt end of the music. I just wanted it to stop. How you guys doing today? Quite a week in baseball. Some interesting stuff going on with the Yankees and Blue Jays, which we'll talk about. What a bunch of nonsense. Busy time here for me. We're trying to get these shows and stay on a schedule if I can. And I do appreciate your guys' understanding when we may have to postpone here and there as things come closer. As you know, we've bought a new townhouse. We're trying to get this house ready to list, which will be in another week. Well, pictures taken next week. We listed the first week in June. Open house the first weekend in June, and hopefully we'll have it sold before we need to move into our new townhome. In any event, there'll be a few delays on some of our broadcasts, and hopefully not this one too often. I know we are moving on January 30th tentatively, so that's a Friday, and I will do no shows that day. Just to give you a little heads up. That's a month away. That's better than a month away. 40 days away. And I'm doing battle with a woodchuck that I cannot get rid of. Woodchuck, groundhog, whatever you want to call him. Your choice. He's made a home under my deck, and we're battling day in and day out. And pretty soon, he's going to get a shovel to the head. Anyway, don't write letters, please. All right, guys. Let's jump into some Major League Baseball, shall we? Again, as I said, kind of an interesting week. The Yankees starting to play some better baseball. How about the dust up with the Yankees and Blue Jays? It's going to set up for some. It's too bad they're not playing as many games as they would normally play because of a ridiculous change in schedule. But the Yankees and Blue Jays are coming up with a very interesting rivalry, maybe for the setting up for the rest of this year. Some accusations of stealing signs, coaches not in the boxes. Who cares? Brian Schneider, shut up. What are you calling fat boy, by the way, man? You should drop some pounds yourself if you're going to, get into name calling, for crying out loud. Jesus, good grief. Who we got with us right now? Steph Curry. If you're the real Steph Curry, I'm really sorry about the Lakers, but Steph, tell me how you're doing. James Harden is a rocket. Is he? That's not Major League Baseball news, but is that actually true, by the way? Let me look at the NBA news. Just for the hell of it, I'm going to look at the NBA news. I don't know why. But Steph Curry, welcome to the show, Steph. Always good to have you with us. I'm thinking it's not Steph Curry. And I know we don't have Major League Baseball news to break here, but sorry, I'm not seeing anything about James Harden being a racket. Hey, what's up, play-by-play with JJ? Good to have you with us today. Keith Angle here for TGI Sports Talks Major League Baseball update. We'll get to some Major League Baseball here shortly, hopefully. I don't know if it's my content or let's talk sports in general, JJ, but we're glad to have you with us, and we'll certainly check out your content. I hope you'll get to TGI Sports Talk and like and share and follow the show. We're trying to bump those followers, and if you like the content, please share it, and who knows, maybe we'll chat, you and I. What's the biggest surprise for you so far about the Yankees? No huge surprises. I mean, exactly what I expected to happen has happened. We got a void in left field that can't be filled. Third base, still a problem. The starting pitching, I guess I'm surprised Severino hasn't pitched. He'll pitch Sunday from the looks of it. I guess that's a surprise. Not surprised that Rondon hasn't pitched. I said when they signed him, it was probably a bad idea. So I don't know that I'm surprised about much of anything. Volpe's played well. Not surprised by that, though. He handled himself well. He made it. Listen, and now he's starting to get, under the microscope for everything. He made an error the other night, and Obviously, people are all over it, but he'll be fine. He's playing well. I'm surprised they're 6.5 games out of first. How about that? And that's because of the Rays got off to such a great start, beating up on bad teams, as I've said. But again, you got to play the teams on your schedule, and you've got to beat them whether you're playing them early in the season, stacked one upon another like the Rays have, or, scattered throughout the season. So the Yankees, with the Rays' hot start, will probably only be in. There's a surprise, I guess, JJ, that they're only 6.5 out, with the fact that they haven't had a start out of Rondon. They haven't had a start out of Severino. Clay Holmes has been a disaster, pretty much. Loaiza's out. Michael King's been really the most reliable guy in the bullpen. And we still got the holes in left field and third base. So all that considered, I think where the Yankees stand, and the Rays' hot start, all that considered, I think the Yankees are in bad shape as we head towards Memorial Day. JJ's called the games for the Blue Rocks, and I got to see Volpe and the Martian play. Dominguez, there was a story today. Where did I see it? Let me see if I can find it real quick since we're talking about this. I just saw this morning. Let me see if I can get to where I got to get back to where I found it. How close is Dominguez? For you guys who don't know, the Yankees' number one prospect, I'll say Jason Dominguez. I'm sure I'm saying it wrong. I don't think he's that far away. I mean, I'm sure the Yankees are going to want to season him. I'm sure they're also going to want to save some of the service time issues that we always know about. Why is my head so white again? My God. Something with lighting. But with the hole that they have in left field, I would like to think Dominguez would be not that far away. Now, he's only playing in, I believe he's playing in Double-A right now, right? Make sure I'm not wrong here. Yeah, he's at Double-A Somerset. I wouldn't doubt you see Dominguez next year sometime. I think he's a comer. I think he's going to be a really good ball player, and I know the Yankees love him. So I think after Volpe, maybe Peraza will get some more chances this summer as well, depending on what they do with Torres and what happens at third base. But I think Dominguez might be the next big thing after Volpe. And I think it may be sooner than later. Not this year. I'm pretty sure it's not going to be this year unless he really tears up Double-A and moves up. So we like him a lot. Ken Gifford, good to have you back. You had your surgery yesterday. Glad to hear you're doing well. Kenny had some knee surgery, which has him laid up now for a few months. We're glad to hear you're doing well. Sorry about the pain, but I'm sure you have something to help self-medicate yourself there, Kenny. So we're glad you're doing well. High A last year. Listen, there was a lot of talk that the Yankees may put him on the fast track last year, but I don't see it. That hasn't been their MO, right? It wasn't their MO with Volpe. It wasn't their MO with Peraza. Peraza came up last year, the first of the new rookies and the new young guard, if you will, to come up. And I like the fact that, I think Volpe's added some energy to this team that's helped them tremendously as they've kind of hit some doldrums early in the year. So I think they'll bring Dominguez along maybe a little slower. Maybe even next year may be too fast. Still, situations change, right? And if he tears it up and there's no place else to put him, maybe they bring him up because he'll just, be too good for AAA at some point. You got to get there first. Remember, he's a small guy too, 5'9", 190 pounds. I don't know if he's ready for the grind of the major leagues. We'll see how fast he is. He does have a good combination of power and speed. It'll be interesting. And they got to be. There are guys I've heard say he reminds them of Tyler O'Neill for the Cardinals, who struggled this year, by the way. He came up and did very well in the majors, then struggled. Let's hope we don't want that situation with Dominguez. So I hope he gets up soon. Kenny, have a great show. Keep yourself medicated and feel better, buddy. Glad you're doing well. Glad you got that surgery behind you. JJ saw him when he faced the Blue Rocks and he homered from both sides of the plate. Love that stuff, right? He's going to be a player. I wish I could see him. There you go, Kenny. JJ sending you some prayers. And JJ, I don't know if you're a golfer, but my buddy Kenny is an interesting guy. When we play golf, he plays in his bare feet. Maybe that's led to his knee injury. I don't know. We'll see. But he's laid up. We probably won't get to play till fall now, but we will play. So anyway, Dominguez, yes. I want to talk about, JJ, since you're on the Yankees, I'll continue on this whole nonsensical Blue Jays and Yankees. Sorry, I just saw a nice sale from work. I'm very happy to see the people doing well as I'm having some fun. This whole nonsensical thing, the Blue Jays getting all upset about Yankees first and third base coaches out of the box. Nobody's in the box, ever. Brian Schneider screaming at Brad Wilkerson, probably Brad Wilkerson, the assistant hitting coach, calling him fat boy. Listen, I'm no skinny guy myself. Listen, Brian, you're not as oh God. As you were said the other night, you're not Kate Moss yourself. You can afford to lose a few pounds. Who you calling fat boy? Just shut up. Yankees aren't stealing signs. If you're going to let your pitchers tip their pitches, what are they supposed to do? Not take advantage of it? And even if they're stealing signs, I could care less. I've told you guys this 100 times. I don't care about sign stealing. It's been going on 150 years. The whole nonsensical thing with the Astros, stop. Yankees didn't lose to the Astros in 17 because of sign stealing. You didn't score any runs. That's a Yankee fan talking to you, guys. So anyway, it'll make for a fun summer with the Blue Jays and the Yankees, maybe, because Boone got into it last night, screaming back at the Blue Jays dugout. And if you missed it, the Blue Jays announcers, kind of brought this to light that before, well, actually, they called it, I think, before the home run. I think the Yankee broadcast caught it after. Aaron Judge is looking somewhere. Wasn't trying to look at the catcher. He's looking in the dugout. He said he was looking at the dugout because they were still chirping at the umpire about his strike zone. But he might have looked to first base. That's what the Blue Jays announcers thought, because a couple pitches later, he had a monster home run. It is strategy. You know what? If you don't want your signs stolen, how about protecting your signs? I mean, that's part of the game, too. Giving signs so somebody else can't steal them. And if you're going to tip your pitches, that's not our fault either. You're going to take advantage of it. So I'm very happy to see that this is... if they sped up baseball, they should speed up these draft shows. What? What are you talking about, these draft shows? Carlos, the Mad New Yorker's with us tonight. Welcome, Carlos. Glad to see you agree with me, JJ. We'll get along great. There's a lot of pitchers that tip their pitches. A lot of young pitchers especially. And then they learn. They get burned a couple times, like the Blue Jay pitcher did the other night, and he admitted he was tipping his pitches. So just chill. See what else is going on around the world of baseball right now. We'll go around the standings here in a little bit. Let me stick with the couple of news items. See if there's anything worthwhile talking about. We'll get into the standings. We'll go around the league. We'll look at the schedule this weekend. Dodgers. I don't know whether this. I'm going to report the story. Dodgers disinvite the LGBTQIA plus group. I mean, it's getting. I don't have any problem with anybody. I really don't. but I have no idea how I'm supposed to continue. I could not tell you what that acronym is for. But anyway, it's a group called the Sisters of Perpetual Indulgence, and they had been invited to the annual Pride Night after opposition, but they've been disinvited after opposition from conservative Catholic groups. Listen, I'm a conservative individual. I don't care that these people are allowed to come to the games as a group. Why does baseball and sports keep injecting themselves into political discussions? Just stop. You moved the All-Star game out of Atlanta 2 years ago for ridiculous reasons. Stay out of politics, please. Thank you. NFL draft, hockey draft, all the drafts. I'm not sure how that came up now, Carlos, but that's fine. They should speed up the drafts. Yes, put a pitch clock on these guys, and when the pick is in, make the pick. Carlos and I talked this morning about the Mets calling up veteran catcher Gary Sanchez. I think this was brought up because I believe they had only till today, maybe tomorrow, to either bring him to the major leagues or release him. I would not expect him to have a long stay in Flushing. I just don't see it. Gary Sanchez has been on a downward spiral for quite some time. He's now been with 4 organizations in a year. If you count the Yankees, who traded him to the Twins, who released him, he signed with the Giants. He opted out of a minor league contract because he wasn't going to get promoted to the Giants full-time, to the full-time roster. And he reportedly All right, guys, I'm back. Well, I hope you guys come back. I don't know who was with us. I know play-by-play with DJ JJ was with us. I hope you come back. We'll get to your comments. Sorry, power went out here, and it took a little while for the Wi-Fi to pop back on. So hopefully that will not happen again. It was going on and off. So if we lose you, I'll be back. My apologies. I don't know what happened. It was a big pop. So there's no thunderstorms or anything. So it's very weird. JJ's still here. Let's see what I missed. You got a comment here while I was gone. Gary's playing tonight. Hold on, I'll get back to Carlos. Gary's going to play tonight. Gary Sanchez is not going to make any difference with the Mets. I'd be shocked if he was here for a week. So my tickets for tonight, Carlos does have, I don't know if he has season tickets or limited season tickets, but he's got something. Play-by-play with JJ. So over the last 5 years, I've heard so many people saying baseball's a dying sport. In my opinion, with the rules changes, has that conversation escaped through the wind? Listen, JJ, one thing I'll be very clear on. Baseball was not a dying sport. They were fixing a sport that didn't need fixing. Did the pace of play need to speed up? Yes. But I will also tell you that there are rules in the book. If you haven't watched me, I have railed on all of these rules. I do not like any of them. I'm coming around to the pitch clock a little bit, but there's unintended consequences that we shouldn't have to be dealing with. Has it sped up the pace of play? Yes, and I appreciate that because the game had slowed down too much. But runners on second base with in extra innings, stupid. Changes the whole dynamic of the game. Bigger bases, again, change the whole dynamic of the game. It's no longer 90 feet between the bases. It's like 89 feet, 8 inches. And if you don't think that matters, look at the bang-bang plays you see every night. Hate it. Eliminating a shift, hate it. Teach guys how to hit. Nobody shifted on me. Well, I'm not. That wasn't that. Listen, I was a decent ball player. I wasn't major league caliber, obviously. But if you hit the ball where people aren't, they don't shift on you. So baseball could still be a dying sport, and it will be Rob Manfred who would have killed it. Now I'm back. When you're here. So, again, I'm not a big fan of these rule changes. That's for sure, JJ. It's just, I mean, good grief. I can tell you, go to TGI Sports Talks and look at some of my vlogs about rules changes in baseball. Hate them all. Hate them all. Some of the rules that were put in during COVID and just never got rolled back. Like the runner on second base, the ghost runner, the whatever you want to call them. It's ridiculous. We got some music playing again. Let me see if we can get that stopped right now. We don't need that playing. Apologize for that. Anyway, whatever. Don't expect Gary Sanchez to be around too much. Good news. Some really good news in baseball is that White Sox closer Liam Hendriks is near a return after battling non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. And he could be back as early as Monday. Very good news. I don't think anybody expected him to be back this quickly. He's 34 years old. He was diagnosed on January 19th, completed his final round of chemotherapy on April 5th, started a rehab assignment on May 5th, and he has posted a 10.80 ERA in 6 appearances, so he'll probably fit right in with the White Sox right away. But anyway, I shouldn't be joking. This is a good story. This is a feel-good story in a season that the White Sox don't have many feel-good stories. So hopefully, we wish Liam Hendriks the best, and hopefully this comeback is a complete one, and he stays cancer-free. More importantly than how he plays baseball. JJ feels me on that. Hopefully he's talking about the innings. I hated it. I hated it. Again, The reason I hated it, and again, you'll notice, DJ, when you watch me, is I'm probably older than you. I'm older than most people, and I tend to be very old school. Baseball's 9 innings. Baseball's 90 feet between the bases. Baseball's 66 feet 6 inches from home to the plate. We don't need to diametrically change the game. Again, they did that in the interest of saving pitchers' arms and whatnot, but then they play a 7-inning doubleheader and Madison Bumgarner pitches a no-hitter. They won't let him pitch anymore, and they say it's not a no-hitter. Again, unintended consequences that they cause, and they don't realize what they're doing. Keep adding playoff teams. You're watering down the product in the postseason. You're watering down the regular season. I mean, in any other season, the Cardinals would be toast. But they're not now because they got 3 wild cards to chase besides a weak division title. Don't change the game. There's nothing wrong with it. Speed it up. I get it. It got slow. But stop promoting 3 true outcomes, home run, walks, and strikeouts, and the game gets more exciting. And you don't need to put in artificial rules to make that happen. The DH is something that I've come to grips with only because nobody wants to watch pitchers strike out, I guess, for 3 or 4 times. Well, what pitcher's pitching, getting up 4 times, twice if they're lucky, because we don't pitch pitchers either. We're getting into a lot of commentary here today and not results, but that's fine. JJ, it's your first time with us, and I want you to understand how I feel about the game I love. I grew up playing. I played it till I was 35 years old. The DH, I'm a Yankee fan, a huge Yankee fan, and I found myself gravitating to National League Baseball a lot of times because there was still more strategy involved. The DH takes away a lot of strategy. But with the fact that, you're not going to let pitchers pitch long anyway, I've come around to the universal DH and said it's fine because it doesn't matter whether I've got a pinch hit for pitchers or not. I'm not leaving him in long enough to have to worry about it. So the strategy of the game was gone anyway. Now you are getting rid of strategy. But again, like I said, when pitchers are only going to pitch 5 innings, 90 pitches, a lot of that strategy was already being taken out of the game by the way they baby these young pitchers. So they're not going to need to be pinch hit for, decide whether to pinch hit for guys, double switches. Those things are all things of the past. And it's sad because those were little nuances of the game that somebody like me really enjoys. Other guys want to watch 10-9 home run derbies. I don't. Ugh, hate the extra runner. So it's no different than shootouts in hockey or soccer, to speak to a sport that you're familiar with Carlos. You play one game for 9 innings or however many minutes we play in soccer, because nobody knows how many you play. And then you change the entire game afterwards. We'll put a runner on second base to start every time. Then nobody bunts them over, just to show you how stupid the game has become. We don't even bunt guys over to third base with nobody out. It's a stupid rule put in to artificially shorten games. There's nothing wrong with the occasional 17, 18, 20 inning game. Those are exciting games of baseball to watch. But people who need very quick fixes and don't have the ability to focus for longer than an hour at a time doesn't want that. It confuses everybody who's not paying attention and those who have had too many drinks. Well, hopefully you're being sarcastic. Yes, Liam. Congratulations to Liam Hendricks. We're very happy that he's out cancer-free. Drew is back from his cruise. Hope you had a good time. Good to have you with us. The beauty of baseball used to be its ability to compare stats across decades, even harder to do now, much harder to do. Near impossible when you think about it. And it's been impossible for a while because of steroids, because of smaller ballparks, because of harder baseballs, because of all the rules put in to help the offenses, because of babying pitchers. I had Dick Drago on, the former really good starting pitcher with the Royals, and later on he was a closer with the Red Sox and part of the best World Series in my lifetime, the 1975 Reds and Red Sox World Series. And we talked a lot about that and how the game has changed and how we baby pitchers. I mean, they're trying to protect them, and by protecting them, they're hurting them. They don't see it, but it's easy for me to see. Pitchers don't throw enough. That's why they get hurt. So you're going to protect your investment by hurting it. Whatever. Drew, welcome back. Hope you had a good time on your cruise, by the way. You've been missed. Major League Baseball actually asked him to fill out a survey, and the extra inning runner was the first things I said sucks. Good. It's not going to – I've been told now 3 seasons running, or 2 seasons running, I guess, maybe, 21. I was told it would go away in 21. Didn't go away. Told it would go in 22. Yeah, 3 seasons. Told it would go away this year. Didn't go away. You'll never see 300 pitches again. You'll never see 300 wins, most likely. I'm trying to think who the closest guy is right now. There's probably Verlander, probably, right? I'm not even sure. I would guess. You're going to have to pitch to 50. In talking with Dick Drago, I said to him last night, he had 63 complete games in his career, which, everybody was completing games then. I think he said he was 5th in the Royals, 5th in the Royals all time. He's not going to fall down that list any further because all the pitchers pitching in the major leagues today, all the starters in the major league today, if you took them and added all their complete games up over their entire career, put them all together, it won't reach 63. Probably won't get to half of that unless the game somehow circles back to what it used to be. JJ, the problem is we have a very fine line. Analytics are great. Well, Drew and I have this debate a lot. I'm not a big analytics guy. There are certain ones that are good. I mean, I love OPS. I think it's a very important stat. On base percentage plus slugging percentage, 2 most important stats probably in baseball. Batting average does play into it. But the eye test should mean something. The problem with analytics for me is it's taken away almost all, if not all, of having a feel for the game and watching what's unfolding in front of you as a manager and making decisions based on that. I was railing, and Drew, I don't know if this is since you've been gone or not, but I was railing on Aaron Boone 2 weeks ago for coming out in the 9th inning of a 2-0 game after Domingo Germán gets the first out, thrown 88 pitches, and takes them out of the game. If you have any feel for the game at all, you're not taking your pitcher out there. You're doing it because it says on this card, too many guys who have no feel for the game at all. Too many pitchers. Verlander, I was pretty good, huh? Oh, I took the oldest guy I could think of. So Verlander doesn't get there because he's 40. He's not getting 50 more wins, 55 more wins. Greinke's certainly not getting there. Scherzer, Kershaw, no way. 200 wins will be a lot for pitchers going forward. Again, unless this game somehow turns back to where it was, and we don't hardly ever see that type of thing happen. Yeah, advanced analytics are too much. Nobody cares about, launch angles, exit velocities. I'm not even a fan of WAR, and I don't want to get into a debate with Drew because I know he's a fan and he thinks it's an important stat. I don't. It's a mathematical equation that means nothing to me because there's no way to know. Again, I'm not going to pretend I even know what goes into the formula. I just know that I've seen players with a positive WAR that I've watched play, and I think to myself, there's no way this guy had that much effect on this game. None. I don't know how we managed to play for 145 years without it. Well, I guess not that long, but if it ain't broke, why fix it? The issue isn't the analytics. There are analytics everywhere. It's how they're used and what makes the game clinical and sterile. Exactly, Drew. That's my problem. Because they don't exist in a vacuum, and guys use them as like a Bible. Aaron Boone being a perfect example. Aaron Boone and Brian Cashman. They've got a script guaranteed every game. Now, they do vary from a script. I'm not going to say they don't ever. But when the most important parts of the games come up, you don't have a gut to trust because you don't. Baseball needs a Billy Martin. Somebody who manages by the seat of his pants and trusts his gut and does things against the grain. The game's too predictable when you know, okay, you know, and players know it too. They're looking in the dugout when they get in trouble because they know that they're not going to be allowed to get out of it. Because the analytics say, I can't pitch to a left-hander at 7 o'clock on a Sunday when the sun is shining. Batting average with balls in play, I would say that is. Right? And Drew, you can speak up, but so that's that's your batting average with balls you've actually put the bat on in fair territory. Which is kind of the object of the game. And if a guy strikes out a lot, I know that his BAP, I can't even use the acronym, sorry. Right? So, again, Gabe Kapler is probably the king of analytics, and it got him 107 wins. But you see what it does. It doesn't win on a consistent basis. The A's did it for years. Moneyball. Moneyball's basically analytics, right? They'd go out and find on-base percentage guys they could get for a low cost, and they had some good teams. None of them won any championships. None of them even sniffed it. They made the playoffs a bunch of years. Were very competitive with the money they had to spend. But it wasn't. I mean, that's good for a franchise that doesn't have money to spend, but you know, again. Oh. Hey, don't forget exit velocity because it's very important. Exit velocity is probably the most important stat we haven't talked about today. He said with sarcasm dripping, hopefully. I can't believe we're 50, what are we, 40 minutes into this show? You know, again, there is some meaning. As Drew will argue, there is some meaning within all of these stats, but you can't just look at them again in a vacuum and say, oh, I need to get this guy out because he can't pitch against right-handers east of the West Mississippi on a Saturday when there's a chance of rain. And I know I'm being ridiculously stupid, but whatever. Let's move on to some other stories here. Oh, God. The Yankees, we talked about the Yankees Blue Jay dust up, but they put Jose Trevino on the IL. By the way, we can't say disabled list anymore. I've found out why. I just found out this recently. I never knew why they changed it. My head exploded. I'll get to your comment there in a second, Drew. Luis Severino, as I mentioned, will make his season debut on Sunday. And Severino's thought he was ready to come back here at least a few weeks ago and was not terribly happy that he continued to sit on the shelf. BABIP is essentially a measurement of luck. Yes, good luck. As with all stats, there's a league average, and you compare each player's BABIP into all that. And if it's way over, he's probably very lucky, or very fast, or whatever. Under means he's been hitting the balls right at fielders. Good point. Well, you have to also tie it to line drive rate as well, Drew. We have to, there's also that stat, don't forget. For lights at Rigney because of extra innings, 4 lights at it because of extra innings, but now many complaining about a shootout for the NHL playoffs. And it's CA. Sorry, buddy. I didn't even notice I had a new commenter here. Good to have you with us this afternoon. Enjoy while we can, still can, folks. Who's complaining about no shootouts for the NHL playoffs? Are the people actually want to change the entire game after playing it one way for 60 minutes and then have the game decided on penalty shots? They're not fans. By the way, 2 years after his trade to the Yankees, he finally makes it up for the Yankees. I'm not even going to try to say his name today, Drew, because I'm so tired. But he came over from the Twins with Kiner Falefa in the Gary Sanchez and deal and Gio Urshela. JJ, oh my God, I never thought even about the DL like that. I understand now why they have changed it. Again, I might have been Drew that told me this. I can't remember, but I did not even understand. I knew they changed it a few years back, and I did not understand that I was offending people who are actually disabled when I used the term disabled list. I mean, my God, my head will never stop exploding when it comes to this type of nonsense. There's not a day goes by I don't offend people. I guarantee you. What else we want to talk about? Let's go through the divisions because we're running out of time here, and I haven't even looked at the divisions yet. What's changed since we chatted? Actually, you haven't been with us in a couple weeks, Drew, so you might have some comments. The Rays have started to come back to earth in the American League East, 4-6 in their last 10. Lost 2 in a row to the Mets, that's good news for the Mets, finally winning 2 in a row and being against the best team in baseball. The Rays have played well. Again, a lot of this built on playing some of the worst teams in baseball, but again, you've got to beat those teams, and you can only play the teams that are put in front of you. The Orioles continue to surprise, and this is a team that does have staying power, by the way. 28-16. They've been playing well for a year. If they got enough pitching, I think they will stay where they are. And they've built this team from within, basically. The Blue Jays at 25-19, and the Yankees at 26-20. Both 6.5 out. As I said, very interesting dynamic setting up for the rest of their season series, which is shorter this year because of the brilliant decision to play less division games. Thank you, Rob. The Red Sox continue to surprise, even though they've fallen into last place. Still 4 games over 500. They've only 4-6 in their last 10, but they have won 2 in a row. What do you got here, Drew? There's only 2 teams in the AL that have won 7 games out of their last 10. One being the Yankees. I knew that one. Who's the other one? The Astros. The Astros starting to right the ship. We'll get there in a second. In the Central, the Twins, by default, continue to lead this division by 3.5 over the Guardians. Huge disappointment, the Guardians. Sent, as we talked about, they've sent Gonzalez to the minors already. This is a weak division. The Guardians ought to be able to eat this up a little bit better. They're basically tied with the Twins the Tigers for second place. The Tigers surprising a bit. 3 games under 500, though. Don't expect that to last too much. The White Sox doldrums do continue. They do get the good news about Liam Hendricks returning as soon as Monday, potentially, as I said. Just 4-6 in their last 10 again. And the Royals, 5-5 in their last 10 is a step in the right direction. Now playing over 300 baseball, pretty bad. Pretty bad. Out west, listen, I got to give it to Alan. Alan was with us this morning. He's not here this afternoon, but his Rangers continue to play decent baseball. 6-4 in their last 10. They did lose their last game out, but they've still got a 2-game lead over the suddenly red-hot Rastros. They've won 4 in a row, 7 of their last 10, as we mentioned a second ago. The Angels starting to kind of fade a little. I don't think the Angels have enough to hang in there, but we'll see. 4-6 in their last 10. The Mariners, after starting to move forward here last week, kind of fall back with a 500 record in their last 10 and 2 losses in a row. And the A's, 222 winning percentage. They're going to break the all-time record for losses. I'm predicting that right now, 120. Drew's going to tell me with the pace that they're on here in a second. Where is it? 36 win pace. Vegas should feel blessed. You know, I don't even know that the A's owners deserve the opportunity to move to Vegas. It's a prize location. I'm sure many teams, I'm sure Tampa would love to go there. But we're gonna reward their lack of good stewardship to this franchise and give them a prime location. 10-35, on a pace to be 36. Let me do the math here, Drew. 36 and 126. That would be a record. That's actually improved a little bit, I think, since last week. Only 3 teams in the NL. Mediocrity is, and this is what baseball wants too, Drew. That's what it seems all these sports leagues want: parity. I like great teams. Makes for great stories. The 3 teams that Drew refers to, the Marlins, surprisingly, now 23-21. By the way, 23-21, 2 games over 500 with a minus 52 run differential. That's impressive. They won 4 in a row, and their pitching is good again. And they just brought up their prize rookie, as we talked about last week. Who are the other teams here? The Dodgers, who continue to play good baseball. And I don't even see the third team, Drew. Who did I miss? Marlins. Oh, 8-2. Sorry, you said more than. The Cardinals, 8-2. Cardinals starting to get it together finally. And it's probably not too late. They're only 6 games out of first. And as bad as the National League is, and as Drew said, mediocrity reigns throughout baseball. With 3 wild cards, who's going to be selling? You're going to have about 5 teams, 6 teams selling at the trade deadline, because they're all going to be within striking distance of a wild card. In the National League East, the Braves continue to lead by 4.5 over those surprising Marlins, as I mentioned. They may stay alive in this because their pitching is so good. The Mets trying to get out of their doldrums, finally winning 2 in a row against a winning team. The Phillies, who righted the ship for a while, now have lost 4 in a row, back to 3 games under 500. Don't see a rallying point for the Phillies. Phillies, this might have been the record they had last year after 43 games. But they don't have a new manager to rally around. They don't have Bryce Harper to rally around because he's already back. The Central, the Brewers, similar to the Twins. I mean, the 2 Central divisions are just god-awful. The Pirates have come back to earth, 3-7 in their last 10 after being 1-10, 1-9, I'm sorry, in their previous 10 to that. Now only 3 games over 500. I do not expect this team to be competing for the playoffs. Said that all along. The Cubs, again, I said this is a horrendous team. Horrendous way to go about building this team, or a team. Lost 5 in a row, 2-8 in their last 10. They're falling out of this race. Although this Central, they'll stay alive because nobody's that good. Cincinnati, also 19-24. The Cardinals starting to play baseball. Watch out. And by the way, the whole Wilson Contreras thing is such a weird story. I mean, he becomes their scapegoat for their horrible start and their pitching not pitching well by taking him out of his everyday catcher's role. And then a week later, he's back. Now, he could not have improved and learned the Cardinal way that quickly. But the Cardinals are a good example of what happens when you lose veteran leadership. And they lost a great pitch caller and veteran leader in Yadier Molina, and also Luis Pujols, do not forget. The Cubs. We're going to get to the Padres. Listen, I said before, the Padres are an interesting experiment, man. If the chemistry doesn't work, this team could implode. They're close to imploding. They're 20-24. Now, it doesn't mean they're out of it. Again, remember where the Braves were last year and the Phillies were last year about this time. And both made the playoffs. And the Phillies went to the World Series. But the Padres just cannot seem to get out of their own way. Their pitching has been, I don't want to say dreadful, but it's been spotty at best. And the teams ahead of them are playing good baseball. The Dodgers, much better than we expected. Much better than I expected. I did think they'd make a wild card. I didn't think they'd win the division. They're playing good baseball. As we said, 7 of the last 10. The Diamondbacks, who Drew and I both talked up a lot during our preseason special, playing good baseball. 6-4 in their last 10. They're now 6 games over 500. And that's what a couple of guys, faltering that they really were counting on here early in the season. This team may be a year ahead of where I thought they'd be. I thought they'd be mid-80s, low to mid-80s wins, and next year they'd be a contender. Maybe they're a contender now. The Giants and Gabe Kapler have now won 3 in a row and have got to win 3 games within 3 games of 500. I just do not see this team continuing to compete. And we got about 6 minutes left, so I'm going to let you guys comment our way out of here. We're going to look at the schedule here in a second as well for the weekend. But we'll take any comments you guys have as we close out the show here in the next 5 or 6 minutes. JJ, I'm a Phillies fan. Listen, Rob Thompson is one of my favorite people in baseball. He should be managing the Yankees. He should have got the job when Joe Girardi got fired there. I said it then. I say it now. But this team is lacking too much. Defensively, they're still not very good. Their pitching's been bad. I mean, beyond their first 2 starters, they had some issues. But now, I mean, even those 2 guys aren't pitching that well. Not baseball. Jim Brown passed away. Alan, I'm so sorry to hear that. Jeez, that's Jim Brown, one of the great running backs in NFL history. And we'll talk more about Jim Brown definitely on the Sunday Stream of Consciousness. So tune in. JJ, tune in Sunday morning if you're around. We have a really good, lively audience participation show on Sundays as well, 8:30 to 10:30, where we talk about all the sports. And we'll get into Jim Brown, the great Jim Brown. Sad to hear that. CA, Blue Jays coming together nicely, except, their coaching staff outside of Donnie Baseball needs their head examined. Atlanta not running away from the rest. Again, nobody's run away from anything because everybody's mediocre, as Drew said. Like the Rays, injuries keep races closer, and as they will. And AL and L Centrals have some entertaining teams, less hopes for extending posts. I don't know. Those 2 Centrals, they're just bad divisions right now. Mark Face Radio must be enraged. Dodgers back in first, Pirates dying. Well, yeah, he said that the Dodgers wouldn't finish 500 and the Pirates would make the playoffs. Face made for radio. Corbin Carroll is the real deal. Corbin Carroll is definitely the real deal. Good ball player. Drew and I talked a lot about him in our preview show. Excuse me. Couldn't think of what I was trying to say there. As another rest in peace, Jim Brown. CA, you just keep on writing there, dude. Post seasons. Although many key injuries in both Western divisions, AL. The injuries are, listen, everybody's going to have injuries. It's a long season. It's a 162 game marathon. The teams that can stay the healthiest and can best put the next man up will do well. That's what we love about baseball. Let's not shorten the season next, Rob Manfred. Please do tune in, JJ. I've enjoyed having you join us, and please go to TGI Sports Talk and like and follow the show. Some of the matchups this weekend to take a look at. Arizona will be at Pittsburgh. Milwaukee will be at Tampa Bay. Kind of a big series for Milwaukee, I think, and Tampa. They need to show they can beat more winning teams. They've only had one. If I'm not mistaken, I think they've only had one series against a winning team that they won. Maybe two. The Yankees will go to Cincinnati. Chicago, hopefully they can keep their hot streak going. Aaron Judge, by the way, 6 home runs in his last 6 games. Chicago will travel to Philadelphia. Detroit at Washington. We're going to have to pay people to go see that series, I'm sure. Baltimore at Toronto. Very interesting series for both of these teams. Good barometer for the Orioles. And we'll see whether the Blue Jays can keep home court advantage there. The Indians will travel to the Mets, two disappointing teams. Seattle and Atlanta. Seattle at Atlanta. Seattle needs a right to ship here soon. Colorado at Texas. Is it surprising Rangers? Alan, I gave you your due here. I don't know if you were here. But up to this point, I'm wrong. We'll see if I stay wrong. Kansas City and Chicago. White Sox, Oakland at Houston, so Houston should be able to continue their hot streak. The Dodgers will travel to the red-hot Cardinals in a very interesting series as well. The Twins will go to the Angels. Boston will go to San Diego as the Padres try to get healthy against a surprising, better than expected Red Sox team, at least up till now. And Miami tries to continue their winning ways at San Francisco. Pete Alonso is still slamming despite a nasal infection. The Mets offense has been kind of putrid. They've gotten healthy a little bit the last couple of games. Interesting that they brought up Viento, if I'm probably saying his name wrong. And it's going to be interesting to see how they get him and Batty into the lineup together. Buck's going to have some interesting choices to make. And you may have to play some guys out of position. They talked about playing Batty at second base. I'm sorry, at left field yesterday, but with the day game and the sun field, they did not want to do that. So you may see Batty in left field, and you could see either one of those guys playing some first base and Alonso doing more DHing, or those guys DHing. So Buck's going to have some decisions to make each week. Jim Brown, great football, one of the great lacrosse players of all time, maybe the greatest lacrosse player of all time. Dick Schaap, who covered him at Syracuse, always said that he was probably the best lacrosse player he ever saw, and definitely The Dirty Dozen was a great movie. Dane Dunning is rescuing the Rangers' free agent pitching staff. Agreed, Drew. I've said this before. I like Dane Dunning a lot, and you may see him in the starting rotation soon. He has played the outfield already. I know he didn't play in left field yesterday because Buck was worried about the sun. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. And that's all we got time for right now, guys. We're going to have to wrap it up. But we'll be back next week with another Major League Baseball update. Tune in Sunday for the Sunday Stream of Consciousness at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Time. And watch tonight my interview with Dick Drago, former Major League pitcher with a bunch of teams, most notably the Royals and the Red Sox, part of that terrific 1975 World Series with the Reds and the Red Sox. So we'll catch you guys later. Have a great Friday night, and we'll see you Sunday morning. Keith Engel for TGI Sports Talks MLB Update. Have a great night.